This week on The Wise Guys.
But it's like, I am going to ask you some questions before this goes down. But her site was, she had an eye for a chocolate guy.
Yeah.
And I was trying to kind of just explore this idea that black men feel more free to deal with other races, whereas black women may not. And it might go back to that whole media creating certain perceptions of us having our insecurities about ourselves or things that are not true. Because I believe in both, that Theresa does bring up undesirable, and it's true in that it is put out there, but I agree with Tyshan that it's put out there. It's not actually true. Otherwise, you wouldn't be appropriating. Appropriation would not be an issue.
Right.
And so when we have all of that, our black women, so in tune with, like, especially bringing up young black girls. My mom's like, you are a young black girl. You need to know what that means. I'm like, okay, she didn't tell me be with a black man, but I'm, like, so proud to be black.
Right.
Like, I see other people. He's cute, but at the end of the day, I couldn't be with him. I need to be with somebody that's going to enhance my blackness.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mark Pruden, and you're now tuning in to the Wise Guys podcast, brought to you by Flowered Concrete.
Yo, what's going on? Man, this is your boy, Kevin. I'm glad we back. And I have with me my co-host, and we are the Wise Guys podcast. Mark, how you doing, bro? Yeah, man. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. Man, it's been a while since we, recorded a podcast, and it's been a while since we recorded in person. And by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be all over the place, back and forth, in terms of, like, when we actually recorded something, when we didn't. But, it'll work out for its cause, So, Mark, today's episode 36, is When Opposites Attract. Episode 36, When Opposites Attract, and it is the Life of Ambitious Women Part 2, man. So we're doing a Part 2 from episode 6 of Season 1.
That's a beautiful thing. I mean, it was a great response on the first segment when we did the Ambitious Life of Women a few months back. And, it's great to have them back on, for sure, bro.
Yeah, bro. Man, like, I'm gonna, we're gonna introduce the ladies in a second, man. But I think, people really got a lot out of it, and we're just, happy to get this ball rolling. So we don't want to waste any time. Let's get right to it, because as you know, we're trying to be real punctual with it for Season 2. All right. So I don't want to waste any more time. Mark, we had these special ladies on for Season 1. All right. And when I say very special, I mean it in every sense of the word. Not only because, I've gotten to know them over the past 2 years. Again, even though I only spent 21 days with them, in a different country, I felt like I really grew in terms of getting a chance to know them and bonding with them, and just growing in general as educators, as people. And even to this day, we still stay connected. So again, I said it on the first podcast, and I'm gonna say it again. I look at them as, like, big sisters, and I feel as if they really ground me, and as well as always give a great exchange of information in terms of just, like, our group chat, because we don't talk often, but our group chat is always popping whenever it does, and we just love vibing out. So first and foremost, without any further ado, I'd like to bring back from Season 1, all right, Anais Booker, and please make sure you correct me just in case I don't get the name right, but Theresa Esando. Did I get it right, Theresa?
You got it right, Kev.
Excellent. Ladies, welcome back.
Hello.
And Mark, if you're wondering why I said that, is because Theresa recently got married right after we recorded the podcast for Season 1. Congrats, Theresa.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, man. I'm going to start with Anais first and then Theresa. Then Anais, how are you doing? We're so happy to have you back for this episode of The Wise Guys. And as of this part, you're pretty much part of the Wise Guys family. Anyone who comes back on after one attempt, you're part of the family. How you doing?
Oh, I appreciate the induction. I'm doing good. The quarantine has definitely offered some self-time and some much-needed family time. It's been a blessing in the strangest kind of way.
Right. And just moved out to Texas, too, right? Left the Shy.
Yes.
Congrats on that.
East Dallas. Yes.
East Dallas. Okay. Oh, man. How you liking it out there so far?
Every day.
Oof. So scorching hot. How you liking it out there so far?
It's good. It's nice to be out here as a full-fledged adult instead of a fresh college student. So different set of eyes.
I see what you're saying. I respect that. No, I respect that for sure. And Theresa, the newlywed, welcome back on. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Married life has been incredible so far. Learning how to communicate, growing, and it's been a big blessing for me.
I love it. You see, she didn't even get a chance for me to ask her how's the married life. She already told me what it was like. Look, yeah, this is what it was. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And yes, want to keep it pushing. So, Wise community, we have two new guests on the Wise Guys today. All right, these two ladies as well. We're part, of the lovely excursion group that I took part of for education in Ghana. Within the limited resources teacher training program. All right. So first up, we have Amanda Morgan. Amanda, thank you so much. Welcome onto the Wise Guys for your very first time.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for the introduction. I'm glad to be here. My name is Amanda Morgan. I am from West Palm Beach, Florida, and I am a third grade teacher.
And how long have you been teaching, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, my gosh. I've been teaching for 15 years.
Wow. A true vet for sure.
Years, yeah.
Well, we're so happy that you're on the Wise Guys today. We ain't talking about nothing about education, but I know I know you're gonna love it. You're gonna get down. It's gonna be lit. All right. So thank you for joining. And after that, we have Yo, Ty, I love you so much, I swear, because you really been rocking with the Wise Guys, checking us out. This next guest, man, she's so sweet. She's been, really instrumental in terms of giving me her thoughts and feedbacks on certain topics of episodes that both Mark and I have tackled and recorded. With no further ado, Tyshan Broden, welcome onto the Wise Guys podcast as well. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. My name is Tyshan, live in Dallas, Texas. I've been teaching for 4 years, and I'm just happy to be here.
Well, Mark and I are happy to have you all. All right. So the gang is all here. All right. The gang is all here. Gang. All right. It's 6 of us rocking out today. This is going to be pretty interesting. This is going to be a little bit like Battle of the Sexes in a way. I think this is going to be very heated. Ladies, gentlemen, I've been working really hard on getting this new episode ready because, with everything we talked about for season 1, those of you that were with us, I said to myself, I have to find a new way that continues the conversation, but also elevates it as well while making it very interesting. And before we start, though, because we're about to get started, I just want to say thank you to you ladies, just for being on before, Theresa and Anais. The Break the Clock segment did really well on Instagram. I think it was our first segment or our first mention to go viral, right, Mark?
Definitely. That was a beautiful organic statement that just came about. And it just took on a road of its own, man. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
Really cool.
For sure. I think we got over 100 likes with that, and as well as over 85 engaged comments. So I think that you really stirred their soul. So with that being said, with no further ado, let's get into this one. This time around, we're not talking about, breaking the clock for the first segment, but today's first segment is called the alternate clock. All right? The alternate clock. Okay. Yes. All right. So, I guess I'll start with Theresa first, since Theresa is very well accustomed to this. All right. So the alternate clock, segment 1. So the first question I want to ask here is, what causes the lack of understanding, right? What causes the lack of understanding between couples in regards to their lifestyles, objectives, or schedules? Again, the question is, what causes the lack of understanding between couples in regards to their lifestyles, objectives, or schedules? For example, different careers, finances, partygoers, homebodies, or religion, spirituality. What do you think, Theresa?
Well, I think part of the confusion is the fact that in our culture we don't prioritize information gathering during the dating stages.
Yeah.
We are very much romanticized and we want to fall in love. Most couples enter into a sexual relationship pretty quickly, and you get to you miss out on a lot of that data collection. Like, you really need to know a person. because you may end up quarantined with them. So you need to know what their preferences are, what their likes are, their religious beliefs. And I don't think as a culture we prioritize collecting that information as much as we prioritize the feeling of being in love.
Yeah.
And so we get into these commitments and relationships, and then after you've already made the commitment, then you realize, you know, that this person likes to run marathons on Thanksgiving morning and you want to sleep in. Or this person, you know, faithfully wants their kids in Sunday school and, you know, that's not your choice. So, yeah.
Oh, no, that's really, really good. And let's see here. Yep, Anais, you're up. What do you think?
I agree with Theresa. The first thing that also came to my mind was just a difference in how you're brought up. And without, like Theresa said, without that dating phase or the time in getting to know someone, then you're trying to either in an immediate fashion, all of a sudden just move into love. Whereas, you know, if you knew more about their background and how they were raised and the examples that they have seen, whether those are good examples or not so good examples of how to manage your money or no example of how to manage money, if there were gender roles in one house, if there's trauma in another house, it takes time. The point is that it takes time to see what those are and get all of those isms and really get a taste of what that's like and learn how to blend them and make that work, or just respect each other's space. It's like, okay, so like you said, that marathon runner on Thanksgiving morning, do you, boo, you know, and come to an agreement that I love you while you do that run, and maybe one year I will come with you, but not today.
No, that sounds really good. And it's interesting. Before I turn this over to Mark, I'm just going to kind of refer back, or comment upon something that Theresa just said. So, you know, well, Mark knows this, but this is brand new information to all four of you ladies. But, you know, as of quarantine time, and I think this is the first time I'm actually putting this out publicly because I wasn't trying to follow the trends, but actually, Danielle had actually ended up contracting COVID-19, and she stays, you know, with her grandmother. And her grandmother, she didn't want to get her sick because her grandmother is, you know, one of the elderly. So I was like, oh man, am I really gonna allow her to come over here and get me sick? I've been doing a good job. I've been quarantining. I've been, you know, following all the protocols. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna let her stay here, whatnot. So then she came over, and then you already know what happened. A day after I woke up, I couldn't taste or smell. I was like, oh God, it's happening to me too. And then, you know, but look, I put it to you this way. It was 2 weeks of pain, but I got through it. But I'll put it to you this way. Halfway into it, I said to myself, if I can make it through this quarantine, being sick with this person, then we're getting married. We got through 4 weeks. I was like, all right, cool. I said, okay, I think we gonna make it. I think we gonna make it. Yeah, it was definitely crazy. But Mark, I'm gonna toss it on to you, bro. So what do you think? And answer it in a way that you feel best comfortable, bro, knowing you, right? What causes the lack of understanding between couples in regards to their lifestyles, objectives, or schedules? So again, careers, finances, business, or lifestyle. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm no relationship expert, but just looking at what's clear to me, it's usually you may have two people that they may have goals that aren't aligned.
Right.
You know, because we can all fall in love with the face or the personality, but like one of the ladies said, you know, we don't do enough data gathering. A lot of the time you can make it official with someone without even knowing what their long-term goals are. All you know is we have fun together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you have two people that aren't compatible when it comes to goals, but they're compatible when it comes to their personality. And I think you really need to cover more bases than just one or two things. You need to cover at least 3 out of 4. So we're talking long-term goals. It could be anything, you know, personality, things you like to do. You have to really check many boxes. You can't just check a few, because if you check a few boxes, you may be setting yourself up for an issue in the long term.
Yeah.
Because then we have to look at something like evolution versus stagnation, right?
Right.
Because we have some people that can be a certain way. Like, I can be a party animal when I'm in my 20s, but in my 30s, I may change and become a pastor. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I married a party girl and I was a party guy, we're compatible for the moment, but once I reach my point of evolution, you are now the opposite. So it's not going to work. And some people can literally be the same exact person that they were when they were 17.
Yeah.
So when you have that evolution and then the other person stagnates, that's an automatic. That's throw that in the trash. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
you can work on it, but you know, I mean, it's really, you can't change someone. You can't force them to change. You can help them, you can guide them, but you can't force someone to be someone else.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, someone else brought up a point where, you know, talking about, you know, check how they were raised. You know, see how they were raised. I mean, that's a good thing to look at too. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter much because a person can be raised poorly, and then later they experience something in their life that completely changes the way they live.
That's true.
You know, you got some pastors that were former drug dealers. Maybe his parents were former drug dealers, but one day he encountered something that changed his entire, you know, mindset.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of factors that are involved. So there's no one formula that can guarantee success because, like I said, you can meet someone and they can be a totally different person.
Right.
So it's a tricky subject.
Oh yeah, without question. I thoroughly agree with you there, man. And I think I'll just add something real quick. I think the scary thing is too is that, you know, I mean, I don't want to put a cap on, you know, is 16, 17, 18 too old or too young to date, but I think it's pretty interesting when you have young people going into dating, you know, brand new into it, fresh with no experience, and, you know, they're dating off of, you know, shallow things such as looks, personality, and, like, you know, how the person dresses and, like, the materialistic things that come with that person and the fantasies, and, you know, they end up in, you know, crazy things like domestic disputes and things that they're not ready for, you know. So I think it's interesting. We're actually doing really good on time right now, so I'm willing to ask if Amanda or Tyshan would like to contribute to this question before we move on, because we're really ahead of schedule. No? Good?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Excellent. All right. That's fine too. We still got a lot more to go. All right, so for question 2, actually, I actually do need both of you, Amanda and Tyshan, to go ahead. Which one of you ladies would like to go first?
Tyshan?
Oh man, all right. You just offered her up. Okay, cool. So Tyshan, I'm gonna start off with you. So the second question is, what are the politics you think? What are the politics that come into play when aligning yourself to your partner's choices, routines, and their lifestyles? So what are the politics that come into play when aligning yourself to your partner's, just basically your partner's everyday schedule when it comes to, like, their habits, their family, events, endeavors? So what do you think are the politics that come into play? So when I say politics, I mean, like, what are the morals in terms of the person and the morals that they possess and that they value, that come into play when you observe whether or not they're deemed worthy to be with as a potential?
Okay. I'm gonna try to answer this question the best I can.
You got this, Tyshan. Don't think about it. Just shoot. You got it.
But I feel like the politics are coming into play. I'm observant, so I'm gonna watch how you interact with people. I think when two lives are coming together and you're getting to know someone, like you're gonna watch how they move. And so, you know, if you're serious with someone, you're stepping into their family, like, you're gonna see how their family behaves, how they carry themselves out in public. Are they very showy? Are they all about material, like you had brought up earlier, material things? Or do they have a certain status? Like, when I was in high school, a bunch of my friends were in Jack and Jill, which is very elite black organization. So there was a certain way they had to carry themselves. There were certain grades they had to make. And they were expected to be a part of the debutante ball, and so they had they had an air about them. Black excellence was not negotiable, and so that, for me, that was like, if I was interested in a young man who's in Jack and Jill, like, you know, or their family has a legacy of that, that's a political move, because we're talking like socioeconomic excellence. And we're talking about, like, there's no nonsense here. Like, we're going to college, we're getting these degrees, and we're furthering, continuing on black excellence in this way.
No, I love it. Excellent response. Thank you. And Amanda, you're up. So again, what are the politics, or if I could just exchange that word, what are the morals that come into play when aligning yourself to your partner's choices, right? So we want to observe and see how they move, or whatnot. What are some of those things as a woman that you observe when deciding or not whether that person is a potential?
Well, I think when you're considering whether or not that person is worthy to be with you in a long-term relationship and to be your forever person, you have to think about, you know, your goals and how do they align with this person. And going back to like what you guys were talking about in the first segment, when it comes to the upbringing of that person and things like that, that also plays a big part. So for me, I want to know that that person admires me enough to bring me around their friends and their family. And do I feel the same way? Because if I feel like I can't bring that guy home, then I already know that, you know, he's not the one. You know, he may be just somebody that I am dating for the moment, but that I might have fun with, but he's not going to be my long term. So I have to feel comfortable enough and feel that he feels the same way about me, that we are able to show each other enough respect to bring each other into other parts of our lives. Will he bring me around his family? Will he bring me around his friends? And same thing, vice versa, for me.
No, I think that's excellent. Okay, so that was Amanda with a riveting response. So, Mark, if you don't mind, I'll take this one if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no problem.
For sure. So again, what are the politics that come into play when aligning yourself to your partner's choices? All right, so man, are we gonna talk about it this season, Mark? Or yeah, actually we are for the final episode 21 of this season, I think, which should or episode 20, which should be a flower that rose. We'll talk about it more. So I'll get into it a little bit, but the reason why I kind of actually wanted to hijack this from Mark and actually say something is because all of you guys here know what I was going through in terms of being in a very crazy, like, psychotic relationship where a girl was stalking me. Like, Mark, you aside, you already know everything. Like, ladies, like, I had only known these ladies for like a week at the time when we were in Ghana. When I was, when like we had like I think it was a WhatsApp chat, whatnot. I wasn't a part of it because I didn't have WhatsApp at the time. But like, pictures were being downloaded, things were being uploaded, and this person who will not be named somehow find a way. I didn't know it was her at the time, but she somehow found a way to like break into that and just like wreak havoc. And like, I think Tyshan's mom was being contacted too. Like it was just like universal, and it was just so bad to the point where I was just like, yo, I thought I got away from all of this for a bit by going to another country, and I wouldn't even have to deal with this. Like, these people don't even know me. I've only been here in Ghana for like 6 days, and like, I'm going through this here too. Like, this is ridiculous. And again, like, I know I've referenced this, throughout, this duration of this or tenure of this Wise Guys podcast, this podcast between me and Mark. But I want to really save this conversation for a very specific episode down the line, because that is when I'll go more into detail about it, because my book will be released right around that time, and a lot of the stuff that I'll share about it is in that book. But I say that because when I was 22, 23, I started dating this girl. I had not done any of my research. I didn't really take a chance to look at the clientele, see what this young lady's history was, see what were some of the things she's dealt with personally, see if there was any traumas in her family, see if there were any just toxicity running rampant within her life, that I did not know what I was doing when I was getting myself attached and aligned to this person. And I think it's something to be said, and it's something that should be taken seriously. And I think it's warranted that when young couples, especially those that are looking, to build something, for the future with someone, and as well as, just have, just a nice life with them, if they see something in them, I think you really do need to, and I think it goes back to everything everyone here said, you need to really do your research. You really need to, compute data and really see what that person is about, because you really don't know a person until you really get a chance to spend time with them. And going back to today, I don't think I really knew my girlfriend until I spent 4 weeks with her in quarantine. And I was like, wow. I was like, the fact that we got, and Mark, we talked about this. I was like, the fact that I was able to get through this, I was like, man, I was like, if we can withstand this, we can withstand anything. So I think that really, really brings up a good point.
That's a great point.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I think that's a great example, for the young couples out there to, as a heeding or a warning to really make sure you get a chance to know who you're about to deal with and stuff like that. So
definitely, I have something I can ask.
Yeah, sure thing, bro. Yeah, we got time. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because usually when I met my girlfriend, like when you're younger, you really don't vet people as much as you do when you're at a more serious point in your life.
That's
because,
very true.
When you're dating from 17 to like 23, I mean, you're not even thinking marriage for most people. You're just thinking somebody that's cool, we can hang out, what else comes with that. And your brain is kind of preoccupied with other things. You're not really thinking about building a family. I'm not going to the club getting a girl's number so I can build a family.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially at that age.
From 17 to like 23, come on, man. We're not taking it serious. So I'm not going to say you were wrong for not betting, but when you're young, you're not thinking about betting and making sure this person is not going to do this. And it's just, we're a bit more shallow in those ages.
Yes.
For me, right in this moment, I've been with my girlfriend for almost 5 years. I mean, when I met her, I was mainly thinking towards like an open mind. You know what I mean? Because an open mind is something that's hard to find. Because when you meet someone that's closed-minded, now you have to think they may not be open to your evolution because you're not going to be the same guy you are right now 10 years from now.
That's a fact.
So if you have a closed mind and you're like, I need this, and this, and this person can't have anything different, that's not going to work because I'm planning to evolve. I'm planning to be a different dude in 10 years.
Right.
And even now, I can say that in 10 years, I won't be the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
So an open mind is really the most important thing because they'll at least hear you out, hear your vision, hear your plans. Because this girl may only like you because you're going to college.
It's true.
What if I quit college and I want to be an entrepreneur? Now college girl's mad at me. Now college girl doesn't want to bring me home to her parents because I don't have a degree. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like really have to have an open mind and someone that is thinking outside the box because people that are thinking inside the box never get out the box.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
No, I feel what you're saying.
There's a lot of people that say, if you don't have a degree, you can't make it in life. That's thinking inside the box.
Yeah.
And the salary will always be inside the box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
We need to be able to break out and create this generational wealth, and that starts with increasing our income. So it can go so far.
For sure.
We can take this. We can talk about this forever, but that's just a couple things that I look for.
Nope.
And of course, self-control and taking responsibility for your actions.
Yeah.
You meet someone that blames the world for all their problems, then that can create a problem. You know what I mean? Because then when you're facing an issue, no one's taking responsibility.
That's a fact. No,
that's just my thought.
No, Mark, those were excellent points. And we're actually doing really, really well ahead of time here. We're not even 30 minutes out. We're a couple minutes shy of that. So I think we'll be able to touch all the points today before the hour mark, hopefully. Cool. We're moving, we're in the second half of the show now. We're moving along pretty well. Excellent. So, ladies and gents, all right, this second segment of today's show officially is called Interracial Marriage. All right. Is it love or business? All right. So, Theresa, if it's okay, I'm actually going to start off with you, if that's okay. So, matter of fact, no, Anais, actually, because Anais was the one who was going back and forth with Mark on it. So, yeah, let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. I think that it'll be much, much better. Okay, so I really want to start off this conversation with Anais because we were talking about the WNBA and the NBA and the gender roles and the double standards and things of that nature. And whoever responds afterwards, they don't have to respond to that, but they can still respond to just the whole idea of interracial marriage in general. So we were talking about the WNBA last time. We were saying, how, the women should be paid, just as much as the men and showed as much equal respect, right? So we were talking about that. But now, I kind of want to talk about both the women, right? I want to talk about the black women in the WNBA, and I also, Anais, if you don't mind, want to talk about the black men in the NBA. I'm thinking this because it's really interesting that, I don't have the statistics to prove it, but a lot of the black women and the black men in the WNBA and NBA have white partners. They are married to people of another race, which is usually more times than often white. So the question I wanted to ask you, Anais, is can interracial marriages, especially amongst the elite within these fields, be considered a true act of love, or is it something more along the realms of social politics or a matter of business? What do you think?
You would take this. You done made this complicated. This ain't
Well, what do you think? What do you think?
Man, I mean, here's the thing: is that I don't.
Because you were hearing a change. So.
Okay. Hold it. I hear Tyshan.
You thinking over there? I hear Tyshan too.
I hear Kevin, which means Theresa's on the line. Tyshan wasn't talking to herself.
Okay, so we're all back?
Yep, I think so.
Everybody's here?
See, that's God telling you that I ain't got no business answering this question.
No. You're not getting out of this. You're still gonna answer. You're still gonna answer. No, you're still gonna answer. You're not getting out of this. But we're all back though, right? Just before I continue recording, we're all back.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know what you done did? You done gave me some extra work to do in the editor's room, and I gotta go back and edit it and find like what is cut off so I could. Jesus Lord.
I don't even know. You can leave that. This is the juice of it all. This is the meat. This is this is how you gonna go viral. Where's the angry?
Yes, and for our second segment, all right, which is interracial marriage. Is it love or business? Again, Anais, I want you to answer this. And also, this is season 2 of the Wise Guys. So, Wise community, I ain't got to be all perfect. Mark and we ain't got to be all perfect. So, we kind of lost, well, not we kind of, we did. We lost Amanda, Tyshan, and as well as Anais. So, we had to kind of like get this back and going. But we're going to get right back into this right now. Yes, so the question is, what are the politics that come into play when aligning... Oh, no, what am I saying? That's from segment 1, my bad. Can interracial... Yeah, I went right around it, my bad. So can interracial marriages, yes, be considered as true acts of love or something more so within the realms of social politics and or business? Again, Anais, what do you think? When you think about the NBA or even, you don't even have to say athletes in general. You could say movie stars. Like, I think every time, like when I watch movies with Danielle and then like it's a really good movie and then she'll see that act and she's like, wow, such riveting acting was really good. And then she's like, oh, who are they married to? I'm like, I don't know. And then she looks it up and she's like, it's a white guy. And then she just gets so disappointed, like I don't know, and she often says like it's a form of I don't want to say self-loathing, but a form of just not being confident in oneself or not wanting to be with the person because they're looking to be amongst the elite. But what do you think about that? What's your thing in regards to why our people may intermingle or marry someone outside of their race?
If it isn't love, then perhaps it is a business move. I'm not the most savvy when it comes to celebrities and the dealings in which they marry, because you'll have like Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon, who are, now maybe according to her, it's an interracial relationship, but they weren't an interracial relationship, but people will say that their marriage was a business move. So, I don't know if Karen, has been down with, Beckham. I'm just making up. I don't know who but he got himself a Karen. I don't know if Karen's been with him since high school, if she's always been there because she saw his raw talent, or if because she really loves him, or, it really comes down to those relationships from the beginning and how they started. Where did they meet? It kind of ties into what we talked about before. What do you know about this person? Before they were who they are today. And then as far as I don't know, because what the conversation is going to turn into is very general. So outside of celebrities and what have you, just because they have status does not mean that they are less human. There's just more vision. We can see them more.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we're all still people in these relationships. So the whole self-loathing piece, or however you want to word it, but this idea that, whether it's because black women, and we kind of talked about this before, black women are perceived a certain way,
right,
not just by the communities who are not African American or Black, however you want to identify,
Mm-hmm.
but also by Black men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that we have attitude. You know, we want to run things. We bossy, we loud, we mad, we do too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then Black women will always be like, well, ain't your mama Black? You know, and then it starts this whole thing.
Right.
Why don't you love Black women enough to be with us? You know, Black women are always here for da-da-da-da. And then comes, you know, all of the reasons why many of us, not all of us,
mm-hmm.
Do take issue with when Black men venture off into interracial relationships. And then the questioning is, well, why are you with her? Does
Mm-hmm.
she love you? Is she a freak? What is it? Be real about it. You know, it becomes a million questions.
Yeah.
I can say in my family, there are only a couple of us out of over 20 of us who are with Black partners.
Mm.
I am one, my mom and my aunt.
Wow.
As far as I know, everyone else, all the other males grew up in Denver, Colorado. They had options, but you would think that they kind of didn't because they've always been with Caucasian or Latino women.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know the reasoning. I have heard a couple of times it's easier. All of this reminds me of asking Black women about their hair.
Yeah.
Like, you're not proud of who you are because you wear a lace front. It's like that ain't necessarily it.
Mm-hmm.
But I get why you might say that. Is that
Right.
there must be something internally which is creating the issue.
So
that's my long speech.
No, that was excellent. To refer back to part 1 of this conversation on episode 6 in season 1, I think what Mark said, the term was expressive. Yeah, let's go with that word. What he called Black women as being expressive. I don't know. I just thought it was really, really funny.
There you go.
Oh man, that was. Then I think Theresa was like, "Yeah, safe word." But yeah, no, I think what you're saying is really, really good. I think you make really great points with that. It doesn't have to be Theresa. It could be either Amanda or Tyshan. Any one of you three want to respond to this question? So basically, you know, can interracial marriages be considered a true act of love, or is it something based off of politics or business? Any of you three, it doesn't matter.
I can chime in.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Theresa.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be. I think it could be either or. I think that, of course, there are interracial couples, whether they be in celebrity or sport or whatever, that are in love. You know, but I think sometimes it is a business move, or a political move, or a social move. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think that people who decide to marry for reasons outside of love, I think that's valid. I think if you have a vision that you want for your life and you're honest about it with your partner and you guys decide to join families, to join forces to accomplish a certain goal as partners, I don't think that's always a negative thing. But to tie it into what Anais said, so many times it's presented to us as we're the less desirable partners in the world. And that's where the pain sets in, and that's where it becomes this tension, and that's where it becomes uncomfortable between Black women and Black men when we feel undesirable. So
I want to play devil's advocate with you here a little bit, Theresa. So you used the word undesirable, right? So what I wanted to link that to is this idea, I guess, right, or this concept of love, or whether or not it truly exists within whether a conventional marriage within one's race or outside of a race, you know, in an interracial relationship, it has been well noted, you know, in the public that Black women are seen as devalued and at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to being desirable and getting married. So with that being said, you know, is love not possible for a Black woman in a sense, whether it is of her own kind, you know, a Black man, or within any race? Like, is that something that's truly a challenge that Black women of today are still trying to overcome?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely feel that love is a challenge for the Black woman, especially. And it's because of the weight that we carry. We carry such heavy burdens in our careers and our families. Most of the Black women I know in my friend group and in my colleagues even carry a lot of financial weight in their families. You may have your parents depending on you financially, siblings, cousins. You may be stressed out in leadership roles at work. And then you are you don't have access to a loving partner a lot of the times. Like
right.
I felt like that through my 20s when I really wanted to get married. I definitely felt like the people who I thought would be suitable partners didn't look at me and see a suitable partner.
Right.
It's not impossible, of course. You know, I just got married in December, and love is available, but I definitely feel like it's scarce, and it's a different challenge when a black woman, especially a black woman who is ambitious, to tie it back to our last season, a black woman who is ambitious needs a unique type of partner, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. Tyshan, Amanda, any one of you wanted to contribute before I toss it to Mark?
No, I agree with everything that was said. I still believe that, you know, some people do marry for love, whether it's interracial or not. But of course, you do have those people who are trying to make power moves.
Right.
You know, they're trying to be that power couple, so they're marrying the person that they think are going to get them there.
No, I think that's excellent. Mark, Tyshan, were you going to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, one, I think it's interesting you asked this question, Loving Day was yesterday.
Yes.
Interracial couples could get married. But I don't even necessarily see this, like, as a race move, although the stereotype is that, like, you know, people come up and then, you know, especially men, they'll come up and they'll marry. If we're just talking about black people. They'll come up and they'll marry a white person. But it's like a socioeconomic movement. Like, so, like, you started off at the bottom floor, you came up, and, you know, you're going to marry somebody that's socioeconomically, like, the same. But I also know, like, I'm in a group, and the majority of the women in the group are married to white men.
Oh, wow, okay.
They're all black.
All black.
And it wasn't a power move for them. It was love. You know, they're standing next to each other protesting racism, and they fell in love, or they were at the same church. You know, proximity provides connection.
Right.
So it can move. And then also on the other side with black women, I listened to a podcast, Chris Broussard was on there, and he was saying that it's projected that only 28% of black women will get married.
Wow. Would that by any chance happen to have been his interview with the roommates?
Yes.
Yes. Excellent podcast. That was a great episode and very insightful indeed. Continue.
Yeah, it was an excellent podcast. But I was just thinking, we have to stop getting into the narrative that black women are undesirable, because it's not true. Because culture loves black women, like they love to take the stuff that black women bring, our style, our craft, the assortment of ways that we do our hair, like all those things are being perpetuated in culture, taken away from us, assimilated, whatever, appropriated. But it's not because I'm not going to say that it's because we're undesirable. There is something working there, probably racism and implicit bias. That I'm not falling for it that like, black women are undesirable, because at the end of the day, like, most black men are married to black women.
It's true.
And maybe black women should start looking outside of our race, because, like I said, I have a whole group of friends that are married to white men.
Ooh, wow. Okay, so it's funny you say that, Tyshan, because I'm actually going to bring up that point with a few quotes and some stuff later on. So just keep that in mind. That's really, really good. Mark, bro, this conversation is about to get real emotional and very touchy-feely. So before I kind of, not saying that you're going to leave, but before I put you on mute and pause for a while, man, I kind of want you to get some action in on this, all right? And I want you, Mark, you used to work in the NBA. So, you've been around these basketball players. You've seen things that, has been going on. So I kind of want to get your perspective and take, from the basketball side or from the sports side. So what do you think, Mark, when you look at a lot of these superstar athletes in the NBA and the NFL and, black men and they're married to white women, what do you think? Do you think, Mark, that that's actually a true act of love, or do you think it's more so delving within the realm of social and as well as economic politics and as well as business?
I mean, honestly, I think we're looking at it too intensely because a lot of the time, some people just like what they like.
Mm.
So if he felt like that woman was the one for him, why is he wrong for actually pursuing her? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time, we put too much weight on marriage as a love transaction, but by definition, it is a business transaction. You're combining your assets under this union.
Mm.
So we can put whatever stamp we want to put on it, but by definition, that's what it is.
Mm.
So it's like if a white woman happened to, engage this black man and he decided to marry her, I mean, if he's an NBA player, how is he benefiting from marrying a regular white girl? He's not.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one benefiting.
Right.
So how can we say, it's a business transaction when I don't see NBA players marrying high-profile A-list white women? I see them marrying girls I've never heard of in my life.
Yeah. Okay.
So that doesn't even add up, and we always look at when the black man marries the white woman. Yes, okay, a lot of people don't agree with that. I don't really look at it. I don't really care much. But what about when the white man marries the black woman? Okay, so what's happening there? How do we approach that one? What is he doing? What's the white man doing? What's his plan? What's he thinking about? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's like we were looking at it too deeply. He was attracted to this woman, and she was attracted to him, so they got together.
Okay.
But I'm not saying there's not strategic marriages. Of course there's strategic marriages, Like we said, it's a business transaction. You're combining assets, you're combining your network, you're building something, and there's nothing wrong with that. The reason why there's nothing wrong with that is because, again, it's a business transaction. People are trying to build empires here. Some people are trying to build love empires, and other people are trying to build business empires. So they're going to do what they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's really interesting. And, again, if we look at it, is it a business transaction? Oh boy, the NBA player married a white woman. Okay, so some may say, oh, that white woman is going after his money. We may say that,
mm-hmm.
but then we may ask ourselves, are there black women that go after black men for their money? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's tricky because we have it on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Black Lives Matter. I don't want anybody thinking I'm some All Lives Matter type of guy.
Yeah.
No, because sometimes people think I'm on some we're all equal. No, Black Lives Matter. But in this situation, I really don't know because it's happening on both sides.
Yeah.
And when it comes to someone brought up a great point. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name.
Mm-hmm.
People look at black women as undesirable. I agree. I've seen that. I've seen people, speak that way, and just that notion is true. But I don't know. It depends on the black man because people like you and me, Kev. I mean, brothers like us, we love the black woman.
Oh, yeah.
That's.
I mean, honest. Oh yes, we do. I hope I didn't come out. White community. I hope it didn't come out I hope it didn't come out as erotic. But I love black women, man. I couldn't see myself with any other race.
But like this, Kev.
Yeah.
I'm with a black woman, right?
Yes.
A strong black woman.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy as hell.
Right? Yeah.
But when I was looking, when I was single and I was looking for a woman, I was not saying I gotta find a black woman. No one else. I was saying, whoever I end up, pursuing something with long term, I want them to be compatible with me, all the whole 9 yards. I wasn't saying I'm going after a black woman.
That's true. Me too.
I just happened to find, one of the greatest black women on earth. So, it's I don't know, man. This is a topic that we can go on forever. Everyone's gonna have their opinion, but when it comes to back to the undesirable, when people look at black women as undesirable, that's interesting because that could be the media manipulating the public because the media can manipulate you that stocks are dangerous, don't do it, but then you got people making money with stocks.
Mm-hmm.
The media can make you think anything you want.
That's a fact.
All they have to do is post a certain video or keep reporting on a certain topic, and then you may think black men are dangerous. You know, you know what I mean?
It's true.
It's the same thing.
It's true.
So the media is going to continue to manipulate us to think a certain way and manipulate, black men to think a certain way. What about the black man that he loves black women, but maybe he wants to experience a different culture? Is he wrong for pursuing? Like, we got to really start thinking in terms of, kingdom building instead of just, keeping the bloodline pure, because, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with interracial marriages, aside from the lack of understanding and compatibility when it comes to understanding what we go through as black people. Because, of course, a white woman is never going to be able to understand black life and understand what we go through on a daily basis, negative and positive. You know what I mean? So it's going to be constant misunderstandings, and it's going to be a lot of you breaking things down, for her to understand what's going on. Like, now we're entering the hood. You can't say this and that. You can't, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
This is my mother. You don't do this.
Yeah. That's cold.
A black woman's going to know. A black woman's going to know how to approach mom. A white woman may be treated differently. So,
right.
Man, like I said, we can go on, and yeah.
No, absolutely, bro.
The assumption that a black woman is going to know.
Well, I mean, come on. Like, I'm basically saying, like, we're looking at it too deeply once again. A black woman is raised by black parents. So if a black woman is raised by black parents, she knows how to interact with the black community. So if I bring her to meet my parents, I would guess that, everything will go smoothly. It's not a culture shock, is what I'm saying. Like,
that's the
when you bring, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because they're going to meet, and whether they get along or not, you're going to make you're going to make your determination on whether you're going to be with her or not. You're not going to base it off of that interaction. But I don't know. That's not something that I was expecting. But it's just, it's less that I have to explain.
I see what you're saying.
Is what I'm saying.
No, absolutely.
It's less that I have to explain.
Right. No, I see what you're. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. I don't have to explain Like, I would have to explain, okay, what do you like to eat? Because my mom cooks this.
Yeah.
We typically like the same foods. If I'm Asian, she's Asian, we eat the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's a white woman that's like, oh, do you like chitlins? Do you like, this? Do you like that? Do you like... It's a different culture. It's true. It's a different culture.
Yeah. Headed out to what do you call that? Heading out to Whole Foods or whatever. Like, do you like your stuff organic, or do you like it not organic? Yeah, it's a different type of conversation. Yeah, I can imagine that.
She's not eating crown fried, Kev.
Yeah. And as black people, we eat crown fried in every city, man, across the world.
Right. Show her a box of that stuff, man. I just don't know.
No, that's perfect.
I don't encourage eating crown fried, because it's very bad for your arteries and cholesterol. But I'm just saying.
No,
These things. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I think you gave a perfect metaphorical allusion as to how to, that you have to explain, and where that cultural disconnect and that culture shock occurs. So no, absolutely. And I also want to shout Theresa out, because I think it was Theresa who brought up that point about black women being, was it devalued? I think or what was the term exactly? Undesirable, absolutely undesirable, for sure. So no, I think those are all great points. And I'm gonna just say this before we move on, before we close out. Mark, I'll say this to you too. Honestly, the only reason why I don't want to say this, but I could only imagine that I probably wouldn't be as pro-black or be as championing of a black woman if I wasn't dating one. But since I am, it's like, well, you can't get me, you can't catch me, guys, because I'm with a black woman. You know what I'm saying? So I see what you're saying in that sense. It's like, you're not going to catch me slipping because I am with a black man, not that. I am with a black woman. So,
and that's okay.
And that's okay too. Right. But I swing the way of women. But the reason why I say that, again, everyone here tonight, is because, again, when I was 19, 20, 21, I was like, look, I just want a woman who loves me. I don't care whether she's black, white, whatever. Like, as long as she accepts me for who I am and I don't have to conform and change who I truly am to be with her, then I'm fine. But then when I am with a black woman, as of now, right, I can see if it happened, how I could possibly like be skewed. Like my perception could be skewed when I see other men that are black with women of other races, because I'm with a black woman, so I feel some type of comfort. It's like some ironic, out of touch, insecure comfortability. I know this kind of doesn't make any sense, but it's like, if you weren't with a black woman, you would feel insecure and probably wouldn't want to speak up and be out there in the public. But since you are with one, you're like, cool, no one's going to come after me. You know what I'm saying? Because we live in a cancel culture society now. It's real, So
Exactly.
I think it's something that,
I think that's right.
It's not. And I think that's something that we all need to be aware of, So, Cool. So we're officially done with the two official segments of the day. So Mark, I'm gonna just put you on.
I had a question.
Oh, no, sure. You want to pose the question? Go ahead.
I just to my other sister women in the podcast.
Okay.
Grow up in the same fashion where it was like, whoever loves me. That you don't explicitly, I don't think many people explicitly, some do, but explicitly go, I'm going to go find me a black man, I'm going to go find me a black woman. But did you have that level of free when you were, exploring your options or hoping who would come see you? Did you all care about race? Did you think about race? Was that your experience as young women?
Well, I never really considered dating anyone outside of my race. It was always, so I was just attracted to black men. And I know that if I were to bring a man home of another race, I know that my parents would probably have something to say about it. Not to say that they wouldn't love him, but that's not what they see for me right now. They would have to get used to it. But I just love my black man.
Right.
Thank you, Amanda. The other sister.
Yeah, I grew up in a white town, so I was attracted to all races. It didn't matter. Majority of people I grew up around were white, so I was attracted to white guys. My family still thinks I'm gonna end up marrying someone white, which is interesting because of where we live now. Like, I graduated high school DeSoto. DeSoto is the richest black city in Texas. There's black people everywhere here, and I don't even operate in. I haven't operated in any non-black spaces since college.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna need a white man.
Wow.
Yeah, but I would. I'm open to anything. I just, it's the character stuff. Integrity. Do you have character? Do you have integrity? Do you have goals? Do you love Jesus? Those are the things I'm caring about these days.
No, I love it. Okay, no, that was great. Thank you.
Teresa got the motherland black, so I don't know.
Yeah, she do. Teresa got a different caliber. Teresa got one from the motherland, man. I think we all should be jealous.
But what made me ask that, and I don't want to take up time, but what made me ask that, and the reason I tried to word it, as us in our former selves when we were younger, is because Mark had mentioned how, like he didn't explicitly like go out looking like I'm looking for a black woman.
Right.
But when we were younger, options. It was about options. And so I think in hearing Tyshan's former experience, it was what she was exposed to. So why would I limit myself when here are my options? I actually have these options. Whereas you might have family connections, like Amanda was talking about, where it's like, it doesn't mean that we ain't going to love them, but it's like, I am going to ask you some questions before this goes down. But her sight was, she had an eye for a chocolate guy.
Yeah.
And I was trying to kind of just explore this idea that black men feel more free to deal with other races, whereas black women may not. And it might go back to that whole media creating certain perceptions of us having our insecurities about ourselves or things that are not true. Because I believe in both, that Theresa does bring up undesirable, and it's true in that it is put out there. But I agree with Tyshan that it's put out there. It's not actually true. Otherwise, you wouldn't be appropriating. Appropriation would not be an issue.
Right.
And so when we have all of that, our black women so in tune with, like, you know, especially bringing up young black girls. My mom's like, you are a young black girl, you need to know what that means. I'm like, okay, she didn't tell me be with a black man, but I'm like so proud to be black.
Right.
Like, I see other people, he's cute, but at the end of the day, I couldn't be with him. I need to be with somebody that's going to enhance my blackness. While young black men, we're not doing that. They were just like, oh, I'm going to be with who I want to be with.
Right.
It's easier for you.
Yeah.
When the world doesn't create, your perception from the world is different. So that's why I was asking.
Oh no! Thank you for posing the question first and foremost, Anais. I feel as if, and I hope that down the line, you know, and hopefully, you know, sometime within the next few seasons, I get to bring you ladies back on. That not only you, but as well as other guests that me and Mark have on do this, because I think it's more of an interesting discourse, right? When it's not just both Mark or myself posing the questions and hosting, and we have other people facilitating as well. So no, thank you for that. And I think that was just very insightful in general, just to be able to explore those things, because we don't often talk about that enough. I think, you know, again, like going back to what Mark said and what, you know, what's been mentioned tonight in regards to the media, right? The media shows black women as being black, right? Being angry and just, you know, just always being in a rage all the time, right? And then that leads to them being undesirable, you know? So, and as if black women, you know, aren't, you know, as if black women don't exist in multitudes and they are an array of things. So no, I'm with y'all on this. Man, this topic, man, we've been killing it tonight, yo. This has been really good. I think this is the one that's going to trump, you know, the first episode. I like the way this is going. So Tyshan, you brought up something earlier that I want to bring back into the conversation. And Mark, you can go on pause for a second, brother. You know, I don't want to get you too far out of the twilight zone. So, you know, I'll leave you right there for a sec. I'll bring you back. For sure. So ladies, this is all us right here, because, you know, I'm like a dark skinned Drake, so I like to go down this road too. Cool. So listen to this. Check this out. A Northwestern professor, right? A Northwestern University professor of sociology, Cheryl Judas, she published a book in 2018 called Interracial Relationships Between Black Women and White Men. And in this book, she makes the argument, ladies, that her point is not to diminish or dismiss black men, but to make it quite clear that there isn't enough of them. And Professor Judas also says that she herself is African American, and she's married to an African American man. And Hecky Powell, right, owner of Hecky's Barbecue, her family, though, is filled with marriages across racial and ethnic lines. She says that her 4 siblings all married outside their race, and she can trace the first interracial marriage in her family to 1930, okay? So Hecky Powell, the owner of Hecky's Barbecue, happens to be someone that she knows personally, and she can check, you know, throughout her racial history and connect, you know, different interracial marriages and, you know, amongst her and her 4 siblings all the way back to 1930. And she also says, Professor Judas, you know, commenting on this further, in addition to Hecky Powell's story, she says, I say that black women and Asian men are at the bottom of the dating totem pole. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? So I know that's really, really deep, but let's start with this first. Any of you women can answer this. Let's start with the fact that she thinks black women should just move on to white men, right? Because there aren't enough black men. But then she herself is a professor of sociology, but she herself is married to an African American man. Is that problematic? Should she be even commenting on that, whether she knows someone within her family that has a line that traces all the way back to the first interracial marriage? What do you think?
I think I think this is legitimate. I think, I mean, she's a sociologist, so she's clearly been studying the culture and how things are moving. But, yeah, I think that's legitimate. I mean, it's natural to be attracted to someone in your same race, but I think it's legitimate to venture out and date other people. I mean, the only thing that's a hindrance for, like, black women is that racism is a real thing. And in my experience, some white men tend to be, like, oblivious that racism even exists, that racism is systematic, and so that would create a huge barrier. Because what people don't see is that black women are very nurturing. We are matriarchal society. So, like, women carry a lot of the burden
there's not enough black men. That's the same argument Chris Bouchard was saying. There's not enough black men for black women because of mass incarceration.
Yeah.
He could be gay. He's already married, and so the pool of black men is very small, which is why he said the statistic is out that only 28% of black women will get married. And so that means that we should venture out, be open to trying different things. And it wouldn't just be white men. I mean, there's mixed men, there are Hispanic men. I mean, there's the whole gamut of different types of people and culture that we can venture into.
For sure. Any other of you ladies want to hop in on this?
I can hop in.
Sure.
Theresa.
Okay.
I think her point is valid. However, it makes me a little concerned because of the point that, was that Amanda or Tyshan?
It was Tyshan.
So, that's what I thought. Okay, because of what Tyshan just shared about racism, so it makes me feel like we don't have access to as many black men because of incarceration and all these other things. And because to me that feels like the design of racism. It's kind of like racism won the day. And that's what makes me push back a little bit against the argument of like, hey, black women, like go out, date anybody, white men, blue men, And of course, I mean, because it does feel like, okay, yeah, do that. And
right.
Of course people love who they love. And I'm not anti interracial marriage or interracial dating, although it's not for me. I couldn't ever really do that.
I'm with you, girl. Same here.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's just not gonna happen. But I don't, look down on people who go down that road. But her argument to me just makes me push back a little and say, well, why aren't there a lot of black men? And not to say that we have to, as black women, just wait on somebody to get out of jail or not have experienced real love because of it. Like, of course we shouldn't. But to me, the argument is a little triggering. I just feel a little triggered. Like, let's look at the issue as a whole and have black women feel, real love, whether it's a black man or not. And I didn't obviously read her book, so she could have addressed all those other things too.
No, but I see what you're saying here because it's there's a myriad of different things and factors at play that that creates the circumstances and the predicament that black women as well as black men have to deal with in terms of trying to find each other and coming together for the purpose of love or marriage or whatever it may be. It just exists in a lot of multitudes. There's so many complexities and wrinkles to this. So I think we would have to read the book to get more context, but I totally hear what you're saying.
Right.
Does anyone else, any of you other ladies, would like to add on to that before I move on to my final set of quotations for the show? Someone that didn't speak yet, or if not, I'll just move on.
I just thought about something interesting.
Oh, Mark wanted to come back. All right, go ahead, bro. What you got?
No, basically, I mean, this is pretty much what I was thinking a few years ago. From what I experienced myself. Once you pass 24, 25, your chances of being a stepfather or stepmother increase. Meaning, like, when you're 19, 20, there's plenty of fish in the sea. But as you get older, people start having kids. Now you may have to play that stepfather role, and you have to be willing to do it. If not, that closes your pool of people even more. So it's interesting because, like we said, a lot of people aren't willing to play that role.
Right.
And that just makes it even harder. And I don't know, just judging from the people I grew up with and just people that have been around me, people tend to have children pretty early.
Yeah.
So it's so many factors that can contribute to just making it harder and harder to find someone, once you pass a certain age.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think it really has to do much with race, really. I mean, there's plenty of black men out there, but maybe some women don't want to, be a stepmother.
Yeah.
And that's for white and black people. So that they just may sit back and then, sit back and wait because they're not willing to have an extended family like that. So a lot of it is not the non-availability of black men. A lot of it is our standards.
Yeah, it's true.
Women shouldn't have to lower their standards, so they just will have to wait a bit longer.
It's true.
Forever.
It's true. And to add on to what you said, I think it's interesting too, because think about two young people, a black man, a black girl, or whoever, right? They're 18, 19, they're pretty much on the same level, right? And then think about as they get older. Let's say the young girl has a child at 21, 22, and the young man doesn't. He's just focused on building and building and building in his career. And then let's say now he's ready to like get serious, and he starts looking for something serious around 28, 29. Instead of dating that same girl, Sally, let's call her, who was 28 while he was 29, or Jen, who was 31, 32 while he was 29, 30. Now this same guy, let's call him Mike. Let's say now Mike, he's actually looking to date a girl younger than him. Like he's looking to date a 22 or 23-year-old girl who is probably like similarly aligned, right? She might not be as mature as him, but she has the same goals she's building, and she doesn't have children. So he's like, man, she's 24, 25, 23. Man, I'm trying to secure that now, man. I don't, there's too many young ladies who I grew up with. They have kids. I'm not trying to be a stepdad. So this girl might be 5, 6 years younger than me, but I see a future in her. I see potential. I can work with her. We'll build together. It's business, and we'll make it work. Me personally, I see a lot of instances like that, Mark, in the sense of where people who are my age who don't have kids, and they're considered anomalies, where they're like, you know what? I'm not looking for any young woman my age if she has kids. I'm looking for someone who's younger, who might be smarter. I mean, that's subjective, and is basically getting her shit together, but she doesn't have any baggage. There's no children. There's nothing. They're tying her down.
Exactly. And at that point, you throw race out the window, and you say, whoever fits my criteria, it's a go.
Mm-hmm.
And you may be a lawyer. You may be a doctor. You went to school for 10 years. You come out, everybody's got kids.
Yeah.
Now looking for the best opportunity or best option for me and my family.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you're a doctor, are you willing to be a stepfather? You just came out of med school.
Yeah. That's true.
So you may say, "Oh, I met a." At that point, I don't think race really matters, but
yeah.
I don't know the statistics, so I'm not going to say anything. Get myself in trouble. But yeah, you're just looking at what's available at that age without kids.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I feel that.
I don't know if lawyers that are like, "Oh, sure, I'm willing to raise someone else's kids. I just came out of law school." You know what I mean? So
no, yeah.
It takes a special man and a special woman to help raise a child that's not there.
Absolutely, without a doubt. That's undisputable, of course.
Yeah.
Ladies, anyone want to chime in on this before I move on to the final quotations of the evening? Okay.
I just
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Very valid point. Me and my best friend talk about this all the time. Both of us single, no kids, in our mid-30s. And I'm like, I expect if I date someone that they have kids. Last guy I dated didn't have kids, and we were the same age, and I was surprised. But typically, in your mid-30s, most people have kids. But my best friend, she's like, I don't want to be with anybody who has kids and has been married before. And I'm like,
wow.
We're in our mid-30s. Where are you going to find that?
Right. That's limiting the options right there. Oh.
That's what she's her expectation. That's what she's on up with. She's not lowering the age of the guy she wants to be with.
Right.
And she's very much like she wants to be with a black man. Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, it's a sacrifice that you have to make. Like, she's not looking for a bunch of dudes. She's just looking for one.
Right. Nah, it certainly gets harder. It certainly gets harder as we age, and there's so many factors that play into it. Excellent, ladies and gents. So this is the final part here. I'm just going to read these two quotes here, and sorry about that. I actually read part of this quote and connected it back to Professor Cheryl Judas, but this actually wasn't her quote. I apologize. This quote actually belongs to Issa, so we're going right back to Issa and referring to her once again in this episode. This quote from Issa was actually extracted and taken out of context from her book, from her 2014 or 2015 book, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, based off of her very popular viral YouTube series. And, with this crazy, toxic, cancel culture we live in. After season 1 or 2 of Insecure, I think it was, a lot of fans were just doing what they usually do. They went on Twitter just trying to dig up tweets to try to find something problematic about the celebrities that we love and we care about, especially the ones that are doing really great work. And they found this tweet, which was actually extracted and taken out of context from Issa's book. And the quote says, remember, this is, again, from her book from 2014-2015. The quote was, I say that black women, and Asian men are at the bottom of the dating totem pole. If you go to the Match.com, you see the least chosen of prospects are Raquanda and Lee. Ray continued, this is speaking from my own college experience. My girlfriends and I would find the pool of guys so limiting. They knew that they were a catch. They knew that they were educated. They weren't in jail, and they didn't have kids. So they were like, we have options. That made it unappealing. It felt isolated. Anyone could jump in. What do you all think about this?
That's very interesting. I think that's true. So basically, what they were saying was, well-educated black woman is still disadvantaged, in the dating pool. And you're saying black women and Asian men?
Yeah. So that black women and Asian men are at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of dating and finding a potential partner.
That's interesting. I mean, from my experience, I know for a fact that an educated black woman needs a strong black man, or needs a strong man, period. Because if you're weak, there's a potential that you might get run over.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, they're very strong-minded. That's a stereotype.
Yeah.
Another stereotype is, I'm trying to think. So strong-minded. I mean, some people say dominant, but I don't think dominant. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And they're willing to debate. They're willing to speak their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some races that don't speak their mind as strongly as black women. And someone may say, hey, man, this girl over here, she listens to everything I say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's not going to argue with me.
Right.
I want somebody to argue with me.
Yeah.
Some people may say, I want somebody that's not going to argue with me.
Right.
So, and then on top of that, highly educated. Now you add the intimidation factor.
Definitely.
I mean, a brother that's working sanitation, which pays very well and gives good benefits, he may have been intimidated by a sister with a master's that is, working a six-figure job. That's a fact. He may be intimidated.
It's true.
If he's going to approach her, maybe not.
Yeah.
He may feel better, going after the girl with less education.
Yeah.
So that they can relate more.
Right.
Because, like we said, our black women are strong-minded, and they're willing to say what's on their mind.
Yeah.
And, the guy who's just a plumber or whatever he is, he may be like, next argument that comes up, he's probably going to, come in my earning potential. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My education.
Hey, we talked about our season 1 with, but that happens. We talked about our season 1 with man. It's crazy.
When we get mad. When we get mad and we're in an argument, what do? We bring up the thing that we know is going to hurt that person.
Yeah, the pettiest of the pettiest.
It's like, you see Joe, you can't even afford the groceries. I buy all the groceries.
Right.
Like, come on, man. You know I get paid on Thursday. You told me you're making small money, and
right.
She's strong-minded, so
yeah, it's true.
You gotta be prepared.
You do.
If you don't have the tools for it, don't take the job.
Right.
And that's what happens. If a brother feels like he doesn't have the tools, he's not going to take the job.
It's true. And then I think what often happens, I mean, again, ladies, you can call me out if I'm wrong, please. I love being corrected. But I think what often happens here, too, is that you find oftentimes, not all men, not all successful men, but a lot of successful men, what it seems, and I think they talked about this on the Roommates podcast, too, a lot of successful men, from what it seems to be, is that, if they're the type of successful man that wants, a good, strong woman who's just as highly educated or whatever, cool, But sometimes maybe a slab of those educated men who, I don't know, maybe they just got their bachelor's, or like Mark said, they, became a plumber or they became, what's the other thing Mark said, plumber or a sanitation guy, a sanitation worker. That's success too, right? because being a success is subjective. But they're like, you know what? I don't need a girl who's going to go back and forth with me because I need to feel on top. I need to feel like I'm the head, I'm the man, and I'm not going to be questioned. So, you know, I'm cool with, you know, hollering at one of these chicks right now in the club, man. Matter of fact, I'm going to go for a Hooters girl because, you know, she's pretty. She's, you know, she's got all the looks, you know, very shallow. It's, you know, I like the way her body looks. It's amazing. And, you know, I just want a trophy or maybe not a trophy, but I just want to be with a woman who's just seen and not heard, you know? So I think it's interesting that you bring that up, Mark, because like I think that intimidation factor, I think it plays a ripple effect in terms of like how men go about choosing the women that they date, you know. But yeah, ladies, what do you think about that? Again, so you heard everything I said in regards to Issa Rae and her saying that, you know, in this book that black women and Asian men should date because they're at the bottom of the totem pole, whatever, whatnot. But what do you think? Does this is this something that is valid at all, or what are your thoughts on that? You know, you can counter on that, or you could, you know, go back against me and Mark and what we were saying. What do you think?
My only thought against what you said was it sounds like men need to man up, but that's all I got. That's Anais.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. But also, yeah, we need to man up. I agree because the insecurity factor is a bit, it's I would say it's a bit immature. But also, black women need to, you know, I love black women, by the way. I just want to keep saying that. But sometimes my sisters need to come back down to earth. You know what I mean?
Tell him, Mark. Mark, tell him, Mark.
You're going to have to explain, Mark. We're going to let you explain. We're going to let you explain. Yes.
Sometimes a sister will be all, you know, everything will work out. She gets that master's degree, and her standards shoot up to the sky. And it's like, we should all have good standards, but you didn't raise those standards past yourself. A lot of times that happens.
So you're essentially saying she becomes like a LeBron who's like, I'm better than the whole team, and like just drag him to the finals. Drag him to the NBA finals. Have no business being in the finals, but there you are.
And it's like, oh no, I'm not going to anybody who doesn't drive this or have this degree or have this income or own a business. Do you own a business? It's facts. I mean,
right, yeah.
And I'm with a strong black woman that's college educated.
Mm-hmm.
I have 0 degrees.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I feel power. I mean, listen. I mean, I'm confident in myself. I'm
Yeah.
confident in my knowledge. So we don't battle based over that. But what about the brother who feels bad about not having a degree, but he makes a decent income?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Very interesting.
A lot of the time, you can have somebody with a master's degree, and the only thing they mastered was student loans. So we got to come back down to earth.
Right.
I'm just saying.
No, facts, bro, facts. Ladies, want to comment?
Lisa, I think, said she has a question.
Okay, what's that?
I just wanted to add something. No, it wasn't a question, it's a comment. I think it ties back to, I think Mark's comment ties back to, Kevin, what you said about men when they find success. Some men, you didn't say all, will look for a woman who makes less than them so they can feel superior and feel good, because that's typically how the male-female relationships have worked in greater society.
The dynamics.
Yeah, and I don't know why I use the term greater, but in some societies. I think that dynamic still goes into play. So as a black woman, if I have a master's degree and let's say I make like $90,000 and I'm doing good, I may still feel uncomfortable about being the top breadwinner. So I may raise my standards to still play into that dynamic. Even if it's unintentional or a subconscious effort, you may still in your mind think, oh, okay, well, let me get somebody who earns higher so that I can still be, quote unquote, a woman and make you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe. I can't say that I have felt like that, but it was just something that crossed my mind as Mark was talking. Like, well, maybe it's still this pressure to be delicate, to be feminine, to, you know, to still be a Hooters girl with a $90,000 salary. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we still want to be desirable. We want to be chosen. You know, so it's just like, I don't think everybody who raises their standards super high is being unrealistic. I think they're just trying to fit into the mold that is before us.
Yeah, that's tough. Wow.
And that's tough.
Sounds like.
Yeah, and that's tough because because sorry, yeah. No, I was just gonna say, and that's tough because we shouldn't. First of all, we shouldn't, right? That's one. We shouldn't, and we shouldn't, and we couldn't. We can never repeat the generation of our parents or the ones before that and whatever, because it's a new generation, so it's always going to grow, evolve. The standards are going to change, our needs, our desires are going to change, but like the expectations that we have, they're going to dwindle because with again, going back to what Mark said about student loan debt continuing to mount and rise and all these things, I understand, Theresa, I can understand where you're coming from when you're saying that it's realistic, whatever, whatnot, but to me it's like if you're trying to chase that that feel of what you desire because you want to be treated like a woman, you want that factor or that dynamic to be into play, it's a bit of a fairy tale, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't live in the Disney world, so like I think it's just something that we want. I mean, even I had this perfect idea that I was going to be a virgin until marriage and all that, and that didn't happen, so like I think we just have to be honest here when it comes to like things that we seek and we desire and how life ultimately plays out, because the way life ultimately plays out, we have choices, but sometimes things just happen to us in life, man. Things just happen. So I don't know.
It really sounds like it's just a constant battle for the black woman. Like, she's trying to better herself and advance, but yet I don't want to intimidate a man, and then I don't want to. Then I have to change my standards so I don't intimidate the man, and then my high standards are lowering my pool. My dating pool, wow, that sucks.
If I could,
go ahead.
It's exhausting.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. You know what's so funny? I was gonna say exhausting, but I didn't want to be canceled because I wasn't sure if that was problematic or if that was the wrong thing to say. No, but it's true, because I was gonna say that. I was gonna say it sounds exhausting. Why does it sound like a math computation or like a chemistry or like a algebraic equation? Like it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be something that's so hard and as well as just so complex. It really, really, really sounds like pre-calculus, and it shouldn't be that way. And I don't know. I have so much respect for you guys. Seriously, so much.
Thank you.
It sounds like
thank you.
As a woman, it's like, hey, I want to build generational wealth. I want to get a degree, but don't get too good, or no one's gonna want you. Like, what the hell?
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Any of you ladies want to add a couple more things? I'll allow you all to add 2 more points before we start closing out with Word to the West.
I do want to add on the whole like Asian and black thing. That was a Match.com study. They noticed, or it was one of the dating.
Oh, okay. It sounds like it too.
That, the least amount of swipes were done on Asian men and black women. And so someone was like, we should just get together. But there's like this whole racial tension between the two communities that I don't even know if that bridge could ever be crossed.
Right.
Necessarily.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to add that, like, in terms of like degrees, it does like depend on what city you live in. Because like if you're in like the DMV, DC area, there's a lot of black professionals in that area with multiple degrees. So you are very likely to find somebody in the same realm as you. Like the top 10 richest cities, out of the top 10 richest black areas, 8 of them are in that area. And these are people who are professionals with multiple degrees. And so, you can walk in there and just be like, hey, as a black person, be like, I got...
Sounds easy.
Yeah.
You might find somebody on your level.
No, I think that's a great point to make, because you have that with the DMV, and then as well as Atlanta too, in terms of like these affluent black communities where there's possibly more of a greater chance at interaction and possibly linking up with a potential. That's pretty good. Mark, you wanted to add something? Sorry about that.
No, it's just funny how it's like your degree is a part of the dating process now. Oh, I have this, you have this, and that sounds funny. I mean, it just sounds ridiculous. I think you know what's interesting? When I met my girlfriend, I was actually afraid of the degree. And let me explain that.
Sure.
I am about wealth building. I'm about assets. you have student debt.
Mm-hmm.
That's non-bankruptable. That's non-dischargeable.
Mm-hmm.
That is the worst debt you could possibly have on planet Earth.
Yeah.
You can lose your arms and legs and you still owe them money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's scary. And I had to, reinforce my mindset, like, yeah, of course we can knock this off. This is nothing. But what about the black woman with $150,000 in debt? Is a wealthy black man going to say, oh, yeah, I'll marry you and, combine our assets and almost make your debt my debt?
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Issue.
Yeah.
That the poor or middle class community may not think of.
Yeah.
Do I want to be involved in this? This type of debt?
Right.
I don't know. So everybody likes to flash the degrees. Maybe you should tell them how much debt is associated with those degrees, because that is a large factor as well.
Mm-hmm.
To someone who actually thinks in a wealth mindset.
Right.
So it's interesting.
It is.
150K, 200K. Whoa, hold on.
Yeah. Right.
I imagine it also depends on your partner.
I have student debt. How much debt do you have? Oh, I've got 40. Okay, I've got 200. Oh, that's scary.
Right.
That's next to I got 3 kids. You know what I mean?
That's scary to some people. Like you said, it has to do with your mindset. I am that woman. I am a multi-degreed, 100+K student loan person. They're not breaking my back, but that's because I've considered myself educated on that system, and not how to get around it nickel and dime it. No, like you said, you ain't getting through it like that. But I also have a profession. I'm in a different bunch because I also have a profession that after so many years of working a specific position, I don't even actually owe them all of that money. So we have to educate ourselves too. So, you could be frightened by that, or you could be the type of partner that's like, okay, so that's serious, but
I can assure you that I'm very well educated with student loans. I can assure you I'm very well educated when it comes to student loans, but I'm just talking about the sheer amount of debt. I understand there's programs that can, forgive this debt, but I'm just saying, just the face amount of the debt can be intimidating. I mean,
yeah.
And that's why you hadn't heard me, but I said it also could not matter to some people. But I know you were saying different demographics or people with
and perspectives,
different brackets as far as a wealthy-minded person might look at that and be like, oh, whereas somebody from a lower class might not recognize that. Whereas somebody from the lower class might actually see it exactly for what it is.
Yeah.
But depending on your relationship or, what have you, those things I think can play a different role.
Definitely.
Your partners.
I agree.
How long have I known you? Like you said, do I want to take that debt with you? I don't think it's necessarily limited to your class.
Are you looking for me to pay that? It's interesting.
It is.
So that's a good point for sure.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's an excellent point. That's part of the reason why I've been apprehensive about dating. I started off with $68,000 in student loan debt. I'm down to $3,600. I'll be done in August.
Yes, congratulations. Yes, I remember you put on Twitter. Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing. Man.
I just was focused because I'm also I think about wealth building. My parents paid off all their debt, so now everything they do is a wealth move.
Perfect.
I want to be in the same position before them. I mean, because they didn't clear all their debt until they were in their 50s. I'm trying to do that, hopefully before I turn 40.
Right.
So
that's a beautiful thing.
Excellent.
Right.
No.
But I feel like if someone has that kind of, my other friend, she has a PhD in physical therapy. She started off with $120,000 in student loan debt, but she has paid it down to $20-something thousand.
Whoa!
Wow! Are you serious?
Right.
About being debt free, because she also has the mindset of let's not pay them anymore. Let's start to build wealth.
Does she have a family, kids?
No, single. These are choices we're making.
Right.
But she doesn't live with her parents like I do. I live with my parents because I'm on teacher salary. She's on a physical therapist salary.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And Mark, I think you often talk about that, right? In terms of when it comes to having student loan debt, accruing it, and then crushing it. Like, what kind of salary do you have? What kind of position, or what kind of, you know what I'm saying? What kind of career field are you in, which can help you crush it sooner, for sure.
Exactly. What's your living situation? Like, it definitely helps out so much. There's so many different tricks and things we can do. And yeah, it's definitely, man, it's more than possible to pay it off. But my kind of mindset towards it was, if my zone is I am trying to buy as much houses as possible, and your zone is I'm trying to pay off debt, we're at two different stages. So it's like, I'm here, you're there. You know, I can't wait for you. You know, it's interesting. Yeah. Because, like, I feel like when you're looking for a partner, or, you know, someone to be in a relationship with, you're also looking for a business partner.
That's
you're
true.
Looking for someone to not only watch you build, but you're going to be building right with me.
That's true. That's a fact.
You know, and if I'm putting on the roof on my house and you're laying down the cement for yours, man, we're at two different levels. I'm looking down at you like, hey, everything all right?
It also kind of sounds like Mark just put baby girl on the clock. Am I the only one who heard that?
I don't know. Oh man, Mark, did you just put it on the clock, man?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Took care of that already.
Oh man.
No, there's no clock.
Okay.
We share the same clock. You see what I'm saying? It's a big clock.
Yeah. Okay.
I know.
She gets clock exception.
Right. She gets clock exception. Right.
Yeah, we built the clock together, so that's all set, man.
That's perfect. That's like the dead ball in the fourth quarter of the NFL game. Man, look, it's the final 20 seconds. We're not gonna run this clock out. Just play. Whoever wins, all right?
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
No, I would never.
Don't run out the clock.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's pretty cool. Any final comments towards this? If not, we're gonna move on to word to the wise and close out. Going once, going twice. Excellent. Oh man, what a conversation. This honestly has eclipsed the first part to this conversation in season 1. This has been excellent. All right, so ladies, we're gonna close out with word to the wise. Theresa and Anais, you both know how this works. So this is going to be the order. It's going to be myself, Mark, Theresa, Anais. So remember that order. I'll say it again. Myself, Mark, Theresa, Anais, and then Amanda, and then Tyshan is last. All right. Word to the wise. You already know how this works. For the new ladies, if you don't, we'll show it to you. But if you've heard any episode of the podcast before, then you'll get the gist of it. All right. Cool. So for our final segment, wise community, if you're listening, my word to the wise today, when it comes to when opposites attract, is to examine. That's my word, examine. And what I mean by that is truly examine on a multiple of levels. So examine the person it is that you see as a potential. Examine whether their morals aligns up with yours and exactly what, and I'm speaking from personal experience, right? Whether their morals align up to yours and in terms of what you're trying to build, where you're trying to go, you know, whether they're right spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, they want to move and be in the same space as you, you know, they're on board. You know, if you want to have a family, maybe they want to have a family as well. You know, if you know you want a family and they don't, maybe that's not the right person for you, no matter, you know, how much assets and as well as different types of cool things, you know, she, you know, may bring to the table, or he too as well may bring to the table. So I say examine. Truly make sure that you take your time to examine and get to know the person you're going to ultimately end up being with, if you see them truly as a life partner. Because me personally, guys, what I'm going through now, and I truly love this relationship that I'm in, and I'm so happy, and I've never been in much of as a great space as this one. This has been the best space I've ever been in, you know, romantically, emotionally, socially, intellectually, and the whole 9 yards. I was in a prior relationship where I was being drained physically, mentally, emotionally, and it was very traumatic, and everything in between, and some things, you know, that I'll mention on a later podcast that I think are very dark and, you know, shouldn't be mentioned in terms of the cadence and the lightness of and the fun of this conversation. But truly examine. Make sure you get to know the person you're going to deal with, especially if you see yourself being with them, you know, further than just a moment at a time and down the line. Examine. So that's my word to the wise. Mark, what's your word to the wise today, bro?
Sure, it's a small word. You know, I'm just gonna go with live. Just live your life. You know, we tend to put so much pressure on ourselves to find a person and to you know, constantly be searching. And I just feel like the more we live, the more relaxation will come to our lives. It'll come to us. I mean, there's only two things that can happen. You're either going to find a person to marry or you won't. And I don't think putting stress on yourself will make that happen any faster. So you just have to live your life, do what you love. You know, if you enjoy a certain hobby, keep doing that hobby. You may meet someone at that place where you do the hobby, or you may just come across a person at the grocery store. But if you're constantly searching and looking and trying to plan around it, it's just going to make you miserable. And I'm sure it's easier to say than do, so I'm not going to, act like this is the best advice in the world. But I just feel like we just have to let the pressure go and allow ourselves to live and enjoy, because you don't want to be stressing for years over something that you can't control. I can't control if I meet the right person, because, that's God's work.
For sure.
I can't transform a person into who I want them to be. So I think we just have to do more living and less, just putting pressure on ourselves to find someone, because it just doesn't work like that.
Oh no, man, that was excellent. For sure. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Theresa, what's your word to the wise today?
Okay, wise community, my word to you is flourish. Flourish means to grow or develop in a healthy or vigorous way, especially as the result of a particularly favorable environment. So I think that we as people, especially Black people, should choose wisely our colleagues, our family life, our relationship life. We should look for environments where we can flourish and be at our absolute best. Excellent. That is beautiful. Flourish. I really like that word. Yes, Anais, what is your word to the wise today?
Authenticity. Be yourself, to thine own self be true. So in the spirit of the conversation where opposites attract, bring yourself, your best self, your authentic self up front, right from the beginning, unapologetically. Be authentically you, and take that wherever you go, not just your intimate relationships, but as you engage with people in your communities, at work, wherever you go, we have to stop being so afraid to be ourselves, be your authentic self.
Beautiful. Amanda, so you see how it works at this point, so you got it. I'm sure you're going to knock it out the park. What is your word to the wise today?
All right, so my word to the wise is word just open. So basically what I mean by that is be open to experiences, whether it may be in your romantic life or your social life. Be open to new experiences, because in that way you do grow and you do flourish in everything that you do. Excellent. Beautiful. I love it. And last but not least, Tyshan, what is your word to the wise?
All right. My word to the wise is get friends and learn how to build relationships instead of cut them off. And when I say that, I mean learn boundaries. Learn if a friend is like a ride or die or an acquaintance. Learn how to communicate with people. Learn how to build relationships. Learn how to have the hard conversations, because typically relationships get better after you have them hard, deep conversations. But have friends. Don't be a lone ranger. Nobody survives by themselves.
Right.
You need community. Get community.
For sure. Beautiful. Ladies. I'll put it to you like this. Mark, what do you think? I think this sequel exceeded expectations and crushed part one, man. I think this was excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. I thoroughly enjoyed, this entire conversation. It was great. Amazing.
For sure. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on. Anais and Theresa, thank you for coming back. And Tyshan and Amanda, thank you guys for coming on for the first time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It wasn't too bad. We didn't hurt you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
No.
Thanks for having us.
No, for sure. Absolutely. So before we go, we want to make sure that, the WISE community can know where to connect with you all, just in case they might have a question or they want to thank you for coming on. So I'm going to start from the line down, and I'm actually going to have this four in this exact order close out, because at the end of the show, we usually close out with our names. So I'm going to say, we'd like to thank you all for coming on, our special guests. And then so these are the four order, right? So it's going to be Anais first, Theresa, Amanda and Tyshan. So again, Anais, right? Theresa, Amanda, and Tyshan. So Anais, where can the wise community find you online and connect with you?
Instagram at Anais Leome, ANAISLEOME.
Excellent, excellent. And to all the wise community out in Texas, because we got, I don't know why this is happening, but after New York, our second state that is listening to us so much is Texas. So if you want to connect with Anais or Tyshan, please, they are out there. So just so y'all Texans know, we got them out there for sure. Thank you, Anais. And what about you, Theresa? Where can they find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Theresa Janai, TheresaJanai.
Excellent, excellent. Amanda?
You can find me on Instagram. The name is Perfect Imperfection. Perfect_imperfection.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And then last but not least, once again, Tyshan.
You can find me on Instagram or Twitter. It's Tyshan B, so TYSHAN, B as in boy.
Excellent. And Tyshan, just to let you know, I don't know what it was, but I think me and you had a conversation, and I brought up your, it was about the business episode that me and Mark did with our friend Jean in season 1, and I brought your name up in convo to Danielle, and she was like, oh my gosh, she was like, Tyshan, that's such a beautiful name. So I just want to let you know that she loves your name. She thinks it's so gorgeous. So just so you know. For sure. Well, that is our show for this week. Mark, anything else you'd like to add before we close out?
No, I mean, it was a wonderful conversation, man. It was great. Thanks
really
to all four of you for, supporting the show and coming on. It was amazing.
I'm also hoping, not that, I'm not a clout chaser here, but I'm also hoping that this episode does numbers, because after our episode with Jermaine on episode 18 on season 1, this was the second most requested and as well as most played episode at 45 plays, and definitely the second most intriguing episode in terms of like all the the comments and whatnot in terms of breaking the clock. So definitely shout out to these 4 ladies, and I'm sure we're gonna do some numbers again. So that's our show for today, Wise Community. Again, the Wise Guys, we've been back for a while now for season 2. All right, as you all know that this season we're all about breaking cycles. That's our mantra and our agenda this season. We're about breaking cycles and breaking generational curses. All right, so that again, Wise Community, is our show for this week. Next week's episode 37, is the art of peer pressure. All right, the art of peer pressure, and Mark and I, we're gonna go down some things that teenagers deal with when it comes to dealing with emotional angst and peer pressure. All right, so as I said at the beginning of the show, this is your boy Kevin Anglad.
And this is Mark Pruden.
And we are joined by our very, very special guest, lady.